Failure is interesting. For me, I'm a very sensitive person, so I take things too much to heart. That's one part of me. The other part of me is I always want to see what's on the other side of the wall. I always want to push myself to the nth degree. So it's not that I don't feel it, but I've tried to put it in perspective, to realize that failure is part and parcel of involvement. When I was working with surgical residents recently, I said to them, before we speak about this whole thing of resilience, I said, I want to get to the core of the matter by saying that during your tenure as a resident, you are going to kill some people. I'm not saying that that's necessarily by malpractice, but certainly by mispractice, because you cannot be on at a level 100% of the time. It's impossible. I think also failure and success take too much of a center stage in our life when we are doing even the best of things. When I was in South Africa post-apartheid working with helpers and healers, at the break of my presentation, a woman came up to me and she said, well, I just can't do it anymore. I said, well, what is it that you do? She said, I'm a social worker and I work with women who've been sexually and physically abused. And I try to get them justice, and to do that, I need to take them to court. And for that to happen, they need to take a day off from work. And they're poor and often single parents and can ill afford it, but they do it. And then we get to court, and the judge, who's often male, looks at the material and says, oh, I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Make another appointment. She said, I'm a failure. Well, I was quiet for a moment. I wanted to let the dust settle. She was very emotional. And then I asked her the question, well, who was with that woman other than you at that moment? Well, she said, no one. I said, would it be a big exaggeration to say that you were closer to her at that moment than anyone else in the world? And she said, no, it wouldn't be an exaggeration. And then in as gentle a voice as I could muster, I asked, and you want to leave that? I said, don't you realize that we are not in the success business when we reach out to our family, friends, or as professionals? We're in the faithfulness business. I think also failure can have a number of benefits. It can awaken us to life in ways that success never could. Let me give you some illustrations. Failure can actually teach us to recognize the danger of pride and the need for openness. It can help us consider ways to avoid errors in the future and factors that increase the possibility of failure. It helps us to learn about ourselves and improve our relational techniques and collaborative style. And the collaborative style is very, very important so that it can be effective. There's a Cameroonian proverb that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It also helps us to be sensitive to early warning signs of mistakes and the impact of negligence, and appreciate our own unrealistic expectations, as well as improve our pacing in our life. So it's not simply a question of how do we avoid failure, but how do we greet failure when it happens, and how do we maximize what it can teach us.